Hello everybody and welcome to my video, my StatCrunch tutorial on how to perform hypothesis testing with StatCrunch on proportions. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So here I have an exercise that says a certain drug can be used to reduce the acid produced by the body to heal the damage to the esophagus due to acid reflux. The manufacturer of the drug claims that more than 89% of the patients taking the drug are healed within 8 weeks. In clinical trials, 199 of 222 patients suffering from acid reflux disease were healed after 8 weeks, test the manufacturer's claim. So, as always, we have to perform this little test to make sure that we are in a quote-unquote large sample size. So we have to do n, p under the null, 1 minus p under the null. All right, so notice that we haven't formulated the null hypothesis yet, but the null hypothesis says that p equals 0.89. So let me go ahead and let me pull up my calculator here. Right. So just a real simple computation shows that if we take n, which is 222, times p under the null, okay, times 1 minus p under the null, and I think a little mental math will tell us that this is 0.11, tells us that we have about 21.7, which is way bigger than 10. So let's just note it says round to 1 decimal place. So here we get 21.7. And notice that this is greater than 10. If the sample size is less than 5% of the population size, and the sample is reasonably assumed to be random, then the requirements of the hypothesis are satisfied. So let's check our answer, and yay, we got it. So let's just note that the null hypothesis, this is regarding a population proportion. So this is p, and it's always in the form equals. And please remember to put this as 0.89. Rewrite it as a decimal. And the null hypothesis is that p, test the manufacturer's claim. All right, so that they were healed. We're not giving any greater than or less than. So we'll do this as a two-way hypothesis test. Remember, the key on that is whether it's increased or decreased. Here we're just claiming that, oh, wait a minute. The drug manufacturer claims that more than, so I need to change this to greater than. Sorry about that. So check our answer. Good thing we got it. So here we have to compute the test statistics. So normally in this, all right, again, I would greatly, recommend if you want to compute this manually and use your calculator that's off to the side, feel free to go ahead. But in this point, I'm just going to go ahead and fire up StatCrunch. So we'll just come over here to the question help, fire up our StatCrunch. Hopefully it'll load for us. And again, some of you may have issues starting this up. Just close the window and restart. All right, so here we're going to come over here to stat, and we're going to do proportion stats, and this is one sample. And notice we don't have the data, so we'll just choose summary. So the number of successes comes from right here, so that's 199. And our number of observations is 222. And p under the null, we said, was 0.89. And the alternative was greater than 0.89. Okay, and so we've got everything that we need. We'll click compute. So notice that we have all of our information right here. So our test statistics, so what does it say? Round to 2 decimal places. So our test statistic is 0.30. So we'll check our answer. Yay. And then it says the p-value. So notice we already have that, so you don't want to close that window out. So right there, our p-value. And it says round to 3 decimals. So this will be 0.380. And we'll go ahead and check our answer. We got it. And so now we have to compare the p-value. So notice the p-value compared to the alpha level. Since the p-value is bigger than the alpha level, notice that we fail to reject. So we have our options, do not reject and do not reject. So notice that since we failed to reject the null hypothesis by our learning video, we know that there is not sufficient evidence to support the alternative. All right, so as we read these, it says there is insufficient evidence to conclude that more than 89% of the patients taking the drug are healed within 8 weeks, or we say do not reject because there is sufficient evidence to conclude. So we know there's not sufficient evidence, there is insufficient evidence. So by choice, we'll pick this one. And yay, we got it. Okay, so that's working this thing out. Didn't take us very long. All right, so let's try another one here. So we can read through that. According to a polling organization, 23% of the adults in a large region consider themselves to be liberal. A survey asked 200 respondents to disclose their political philosophy, treat the results of the survey, okay, yada, yada, yada. All right, so here we do our check. So here we get N, which is 200, times 0.23 times, and I believe this is going to be 1 minus 0.23 is going to be 0.77. So we get 35, so round to 1, so this is greater than oh, wait a minute, equals, got to get the right numbers here, 35.4, and this is greater than 10, so the sample size is less than 5% of the population size and can be reasonably assumed to be random, and these are satisfied. 35.4. There we go. All right. It's given to be random. Right here. Treat the results of the survey as random. So we have to say it's given as random. All right. So let's continue. So P equals 0.23. And P, so what do we have here? Treat the survey. So according to a poll, 23% of a large consider themselves to be liberal. Disclose that. Treat the results as, do the survey suggest that the proportion is higher than reported? So this will be greater than 0.23. There we go. So we could check our answer. Green box, that's always a good sign. All right, so at this point, again, I'm going to come over here to StatCrunch. Okay. So for StatCrunch, again, we'll come over here to Stat, Proportions, One Sample, and with Summary. So the number of successes looks like we'll have to click our table here. And, whoa, geez. That's crazy. Okay, so open in StatCrunch. Looks like we're going to have to use data on this one. All right, so this one here is a data. Good thing we took a look at this. So stat, Proportion, one sample with data. So let's see, variable here. A success is liberal. So this will be 0.23, and this is greater than 0.23. All right, let's see how this works for us. Look at there. Boom, boom, boom. Got it. So our test statistic rounded to 2 decimals, then is 3.02. And our p-value is 0.001, 3 decimals. Okay. And state the conclusion. Now let's note that our p-value, 0.001, is less than the alpha level, so we will reject. So our options here is this one, B, reject, or A or B. So we got to pick one of these two. So there is sufficient evidence at alpha equals 0.1 level of significance to conclude that the proportion is higher than reported. So we can check A because that is exactly what is happening. But let's double check. There is not, so we reject. There is not sufficient evidence. But since the p-value is bigger than alpha, we are saying there is sufficient evidence. So we'll choose A. All right, so I hope this video helped on using StatCrunch. So we got both a data one, we got a rejection, and a fail to reject the null hypothesis. And I hope this helps you out.